let's get into algebra. Alrighty, so we're going to just recap essentially what we have done so far. And to do that, we're going to start looking at simplifying our algebraic expressions. Now I'm going to do some with you. You're going to do some by yourselves. But let's have a look at this first one together so that we know exactly what it is that we're doing. So grade 8, sure, I always forget who I'm teaching. Grade 8, the very first thing that we always want to do when we are given an algebraic expression that we want to simplify is we want to identify our terms. Now remember, terms are separated by plus or minus signs, so that's what we need to look out for. We don't care about the plus or minus signs inside brackets. We can just ignore those for the time being. We care about the other plus or minus signs. So I'm just going to put here in brackets, ignore the plus or minus signs in brackets. Let's see if I can fit in brackets here. Right. So if I go up to my expression, I'm going to look for the plus and minus signs that aren't necessarily in brackets, but are part of my expression. So there's a plus sign and there's another plus sign. What that is doing for me is it is separating my terms. Remember, I don't care about this plus sign in the bracket. I'm going to ignore it. It's inside the bracket. Whatever, we'll deal with it later. So what I now know is that I've got 3 terms. I've got the fraction 10xy divided by 2. I've got 3 times x plus y as my second term. And then I've got the plus 2xy as my third term. Now, it's very important that we can identify our terms because we need to make sure that we have simplified our terms before we start looking or trying to add or subtract like terms. So my second step here is once I've identified my terms, I want to simplify each term. Now, basically what this means is we are going to perform multiplication or division operations. If you think about your order of work, if you think about BODMAS, multiplication and division are the first things I should be doing in any case. So that is where I start. I start by seeing in my terms, what division do I need to do? What multiplication do I need to do? So if I have a look then at my very first term, we have got this fraction 10xy divided by 2. So I want to simplify that. Remember, when you are multiplying or dividing, we can use SNV. Remember, SNV is signs, numbers, variables. If we do our multiplication and division in that order, we should get our multiplication and our division correct. Positive 10 divided by positive 2. Oh, let's just maybe try that sentence again. A positive divided by positive is a positive. That's signs done. Numbers. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then I've got my variables x, y. I don't have any variables in that denominator, so I can't do anything with the x and the y. It stays x, y. If I now move on to my second term, I've got this positive 3 that I need to times with the x and that I need to times with the y. So positive 3x times positive x is a positive. Remember, guys, if there's no number in front of your variables, there is actually a 1. So when it comes to the numbers, you've got 3 times 1, which is 3, and then the x. And a similar thing is going to happen with the y. Positive 3 times positive 1 is 3, and then we have 3y as our product. The last term I couldn't do anything with. It was just 2xy. There was no simplification there that I needed to do. Only once you have simplified your terms do we now do our final step where we start looking for like terms. So this is now where we are going to add or subtract our like terms. Now remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable and exponent. So this is where I would probably grab a highlighter or a colored pen or something, and I would start highlighting my like terms. So I've got terms with an x and a y. That's the 5xy and the 2xy. I've got a term with just an x in it, so 3x. And I have a term with just a y in it. Now, x and y are 2 different variables, so they can't go together. There are 2 different groups of terms. Now, if you want to write your group terms or your like terms together, that is absolutely fine. 5xy plus 2xy plus 3x plus 3y. And so now when I add my like terms, I've got 7xy plus 3x plus 3y. I've got no more like terms. I've got no more multiplication or division to do. So I have simplified my expression. So again, grade 8s, if we can do these 3 steps over here, we are able to simplify. We are able to simplify our algebraic expressions. Alrighty, so what I want you guys to try for me is question 2. Sorry, I'm just panicking a wee bit. I'm going to just move this up so that you can see what we did in question 1, so that you can see the 3 steps. But I want you to try question 2 for me. So identify your terms, simplify each term, and then find and add and subtract your like terms. Remember, put your answers in the chat as you get them. We want to see your answers. I don't want to see any hands just yet, but I do want to see your answers on the chat. And just remember, step by step. Don't try to rush it. Go step by step. Oh, sorry. Again, grade 8s, remember to identify your terms, simplify your terms, so multiply and divide where you need to, and then only do you look for your like terms. Okay, I'm starting to see some answers come through. Keep it coming. It's okay that it's taking a little bit longer. These are slightly tougher questions, so it's take your time, make sure you're doing things correctly, check your work. It's a good habit to get into, checking your work. Double check the signs that you have. Make sure your signs are correct. That's often where we go wrong, is we make a silly sign error. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 more minute and then I'm going to ask for some hands.
We are doing good. Let's go, guys. Go, my pips.
Alrighty, would anyone like to raise their hand to explain how they did question 2 here for us? Ooh, I'm panicking. Sorry, I do see hands. I'm just having a bit of a moment where I'm panicking of what's actually going on my screen. All right. Shana, do you want to help us with question 2 here?
Yes, ma'am, but I'm not sure if it's right. Can I tell you my answer
No,
first?
back yourself. Let's go. We'll do it step by step.
So I got 11x plus negative 1y.
Say the last bit again. I'm so sorry you cut out.
Oh, sorry, I got 11x plus negative 1y.
Okay, I'm not sure if I agree with the negative 1y. I agree with the 11x, but let's see what we get as we go along. So what was your first step?
So you had to times the 2 by the 3 and the 2 in the brackets.
Good.
Which gave you 6x plus 2y.
Good. Plus 4y, is that what you said?
Oh, sorry, 4. I'm so sorry, ma'am.
Don't worry.
I said plus 10x divided by 2 minus 3y.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, and then I said 6x plus 5. I somehow got 5x.
Okay, so you got the 5 because you said 10x divided by 2 is 5x.
Oh, yes. Plus, yes. And then 11x plus 2y minus 3y.
Okay, cool. So remember we said that the 2 times the 2y gives us plus 4y. So plus 4y minus 3y is positive 1y.
Oh, so I just got a negative.
Yeah, but that's okay. And you know where you went wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, well done. That's what I like to hear. Excellent, Jana, well done. Okay, so guys, just be careful. We still need to times the 2 with the 2y. So that does give us 4y. And then we need to make sure we simplify this division. So all I chose to do was write it as a fraction. You don't have to. I find fractions easier to work with. I don't know why a division sign to me sometimes gets me confused with plus. So if I see a division, I like to write it as a fraction. You don't have to. If you are happy to leave it as a division sign, that's what you do. So once I'd simplified 10x divided by 2, I got my 5x. And then I looked for my like terms. 6x plus 5x is 11x. 4y minus 3y is 1y. You don't have to write the 1 there. So if you just wrote y, that is fine as well. But if you write 1 in front of the y, that's okay too. Right, let's say I'm definitely going to give you another example. What I am going to do though first is I'm just going to make that a touch smaller so that you guys can screenshot the first 2 examples. And then we're definitely going to have a look at another example. Okay, Retabilia, what is it that you're not understanding? If you want to raise your hand to ask, let me know. Otherwise, pop it in the chat. Someone is not muted. And I found it. Learner?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I don't understand like when I calculated it, I said the 6x plus the 4y. So and then when I saw your answer, it was 11x plus y. So like I don't understand how you got that whole answer.
Okay, sorry, Leona, can you just say the first bit again? You just cut out. I think my internet went a bit funny. Say the first bit again for me.
When I calculated, 6 plus 4 is 10, right?
Okay, so just remember, we can't add 6x and 4y. They are unlike terms. One has an x, one has a y. So I can't add them together.
So I add the one that has the same variable.
Exactly, well done.
Oh, okay, thank you, ma'am.
Well done. Okay, so guys, that's a very good reminder from English Leona there. We only add the ones that have the same variables. We add our like terms. All right, so I'm going to put up the third question. There it is. I want you to try it. While you're trying, if anyone still has questions, please raise your hand or put it in the chat and I will help you. Otherwise, you're giving question 3 a try. Okay, didn't lay question. Didn't I can't hear you. You might need to double check that you've selected headphones as your audio option.
I think the problem is the headset. Hey, didn't they? Because we cannot hear anything. You can ask someone, an adult there, they can assist, and then you can just practice your sound. Okay.
Ma'am, you guys, please also just make sure you are on mute. This
Yes,
I think I've managed to find who was not on mute, but just make sure. Guys, also, I mean, Yolanda, you can correct me on this. I'm fairly certain there is no way to access the quiz before the lesson, so you only get the quiz link at the end of the lesson for you to do. Am I right about that, Yolanda?
I think they can access the quiz before. That's why we encourage you not to do the quiz before the lesson, because the quiz is based on, on the website is there. Yeah, the quiz is already there.
All right.
But it won't help you guys if you do the quiz now. I mean, before this lesson, it won't help you. Then you're not gonna be one of the top achievers. You're not gonna be there because it means that whatever that they're gonna be asking you about, you didn't learn it with us. Because we only ask about things that you learned on Monday and also on Wednesday. Okay.
Okay, so Didn't's question was just to go back to the question that we did. So there's question 2 if you're still looking for it. And there is still question 3. I can't remember if I said it. I've just turned off my camera because I seem to be having a bit of an issue with my network. Who knows why? But hopefully it'll sort itself out and then I'll put my camera back on. Who is sleeping? Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, let's just remember that if we're keeping our cameras on, we need to remember to keep it appropriate. Otherwise, I just remove you or turn your camera off. I'm really not gonna take any nonsense. So also, yeah, touch rude to be sleeping during a lesson when everyone's trying to work and when I am explaining things. But anywho, Didn't are you sorted now? Okay. Cool. Well done.
We can do this, guys. We can do it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Remember also, if you are not sitting with a pen and a paper and doing these exercises, that's why you will definitely sleep. Because I can tell you now, Teacher Sam is not boring. And everything that we're doing here is very, very interesting. And it's giving you marks. Okay.
And important.
Definitely giving you marks. Okay. We want some A's over here. We want some B's and pass maths and with good marks. So Louise, we will repeat that again. So the quiz, normally I will send you a link to go to the quiz after this lesson, okay? And normally the link is already on the website, but we don't want you to be checking that because you cannot do the quiz without you finishing this lesson first. Okay,
exactly.
We can already see some answers coming in. Let's keep them rolling, my people, rolling. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Okay, so guys, and just on what Yolanda said there, the quiz, as she's already told you, is based on the lessons from Monday and Wednesday. So the stuff we're doing today will still be covered in the quiz. So that's why it's quite important that you do the quiz after the lessons. Alrighty. So who would like to raise their hand to tell me how they did question 3 over here? Quando.
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm not too sure about my answer, but I got 4x plus 4y because I said that it's so x plus 2y times 6 over 3, and it's x. Oh my goodness, 6x plus 12 over y over 3.
Yeah, good. 12y over 3, good.
Over 3, and then plus 2x plus 4y
Good,
minus 4y.
good. What do we now do with this fraction?
And then I said that the 6x divided by 3 would equal 2x.
Good.
And the 12y divided by 3 would equal 4y.
Good, well done. So guys, just quickly remember that when we've got a fraction, what we can do is we can separate our fraction, and that allows us to simplify. All right, so Quando, carry on. I'm just talking nonsense.
Okay. Ooh, where was I? Where am I?
So you did the
Yeah, I remember.
6x divided, you did the division. So you've done 6x divided by 3 is 2x, and the 12y divided by 3 is 4y. So we need to add our like terms now.
Oh, okay. So then it's 2x plus 2x. Okay. And then it's plus 4y minus 4y.
Good, and that gives you plus 4y.
4y, yeah, plus 4y.
Good. So 4x plus 4y. Excellent,
Yay.
well done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alrighty, guys. So beautiful explanation there. Just to recap, again, like these are quite tricky, so we're just going to recap. There's my plus and minus sign separating my terms. So I've got term 1, term 2, term 3. In term 1, I need to multiply the 6 to the x and the 2y. So that's why I got 6x plus 12y. That is still being divided by my denominator. So I've still got the fraction. I'm going to eventually separate my fraction to simplify it. And in my second term, I need to multiply the 2, whoopsie daisies, the 2 and the x and the 2 and the y. So that's where I get 2x plus 4y. Once I've separated my fraction and I've simplified, so 6x divided by 3 gives us 2x, and 12y divided by 3 is 4y. That is now where I go and look for my like terms that I can then add and subtract to simplify my final answer. Right, if you want to take a screenshot, it depends what sort of device you're using. If you're on a laptop, if you click print screen and then copy that into like a Word document or a document with the screenshot of the screen. Otherwise, just use your phone and take photos, or a phone and take photos of the screen as we go along. Right, grade 8. Any questions so far? Now's the time to either raise your hand or put it in the chat. Any questions? Oh, Calvin?
Sorry, ma'am. I actually do not understand when it gets to the point when you have to like multiply 6 to the x. Like, won't the number just say x?
Okay, so if we look at the multiplication step, so if I just sort of take that multiplication out, what we're doing is we've got the bracket x plus 2y, and we've got it times 6. So we need to say 6 times x. Now remember, there is a 1 there. So if we use our SNV, positive times a positive is a positive. 6 times 1 is 6. And then we have the x. And then we still have to say 6 times 2y. So positive times a positive is a positive. 6 times 2 is 12. And then we have the y. So this 6x and 12y is where I get my numerator in my next step from.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, good. Good, well done. Umfa?
Ma'am.
You
Ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. I do not understand how you got the answer from number 3.
Okay, where don't you understand from? I've just explained it, so where don't you understand from?
Like the second step from number 3, ma'am.
Okay, so once we've multiplied, so once we've done the stuff in green, we get our fraction. Now we still need to simplify that fraction. So what that means is I need to take the 6x and I need to put it over the denominator of 3. And then I need to separate that from the 12y and put it over the denominator of 3. That is then the next simplification. So I'll have 6x divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then we've got the x. So that's where this 2x comes from. And 12y divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then, so I've separated my fraction so that I can simplify it.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Takalani?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, how did you get 2 4y?
Okay, so all the 4y's essentially, so the first 4y came from the 12y divided by 3. The second 4y came from me saying 2 at the beginning times 2y, which gives me plus 4y. And then I had a minus 4y that I started with.
Ma'am, so what happens to the 2x?
Sorry, say that again.
Ma'am, right, you add the 2 with the 2y, which gives me 4y.
Yeah, so if we go back up here, and again, we look at the multiplication. Come on. So if I take this second term, what I'm doing is I'm saying 2 times the bracket x plus 2y. So I have to say 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times 2y, which gives me 4y. So that's those terms over there.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay, so we have to multiply. Okay, good. So we have to multiply to the x and to the 2y.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Alrighty, grade 9s. I'm hoping you've all taken. No, you're not grade 9. So sorry. Grade 8s. I'm hoping you've all taken your screenshots.
We are adults. Teacher Sam is upgrading us, guys. My fibs next year definitely will be in grade 9, guys. All of you, we are passing.
At least I called you grade 9s. I called my grade 12s grade 8s today. Oops. Anyways, okay. Guys, brain break. I think we all need one. So our brain break, remember I gave you a fraction question that I asked you guys to have a try of. I don't know how many people actually went and found an answer for me, but I'm going to give you a second or two. Did anyone find an answer? Did anyone figure out why it was, what was it? Why it was 40 sweets? And can anyone explain it to us? Otherwise, I'll quickly go through it. Oh, no one. Okay, it was quite a hard one. So if we just quickly do our fraction question here, I'm just going to move this over where we've got a bit more space. Because fractions, I quite like to draw pictures. I'm quite a visual person when it comes to maths, but let's see. Okay, so it said Fiona had some sweets. She gives a quarter of them to Michelle, and she gives 1/6 of the remainder of them to Nina. If Fiona has 25 sweets left over, how many did she have in the beginning? So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. Most of you will probably do the second way, which is absolutely fine. But it's always nice to have other ways to do questions, especially questions that we find a bit trickier. So what I like to do, like I say, is I like to draw a picture for myself. Okay, so that's a horrible picture. Let me try that one again. And basically what this rectangle represents is the sweets. So this is all of the sweets that Fiona had. So the second sentence told us that she gave a quarter to Michelle. So one of these 4 blocks went to Michelle, and then it said a 6 of the remainder. Now we actually need to understand what that's saying. It says a 6 of the remainder. So my remainder are these 3 out of 4 blocks. So I'm giving 1/6 to Nina. So if I split these blocks up into 2 blocks, I now have 6 blocks, which means I can give 1 of my 6 blocks to Nina. But I should still split up this last block, even though I'm done with it, because I've split up the rest. What that English, let me try that again. What that is then saying to me is that these 5 blocks are the sweets that Fiona had left over. So 5 blocks over here represent the 25 sweets that she had left over. What that then means is I can work out what 1 block is. If I divide both of those by 5, I get that 1 block represents 5 sweets. And so every block that I see here is 5 sweets that Fiona had. Now the question asked, how many did she have in the beginning? So if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks, each of them worth 5 sweets, I would say 8 times 5, which is 40 sweets to start with. Okay, so that's how many she had in the beginning. Now I completely understand if this whole block diagram, I find this a little bit easier. However, it is a very different method. And so that is not necessarily the way you need to do it. So I'm going to show you how to do it with, like, let's not say algebra, with like maths methods. So what we can do is we can assume that 1, so remember 1 represents a whole, is all of the sweets that Fiona had. And she gives a quarter to Michelle. So we want to subtract a quarter from that. Now remember, when we are working with fractions, if I want to add or subtract them, I need to find an LCD. So 1 is technically 1/1, which means my LCD is 4. And so I make my denominators the same. That then means that when we give the quarter to Michelle, we have 3 quarters left. So if you go back to my blocks, there were the 3 quarters that I had left. We then want to say that she gave 1/6 of that 3 quarters to Nina. So we need to work out what 1/6 of 3 quarters is. Now remember, there's different ways that you can do this. I like to cross cancel. I find it a lot easier. So 3 divides into 6 twice and into 3 once. And so 1/8 went to Nina. So this went to Nina. This went to, oopsie daisies, the quarter went to Michelle. Now, if we think about these 2 fractions that I've just written down, I'm just going to write them again. 1/8 went to Nina. 1/4 went to Michelle. Now, guys, what we need to remember is that whenever we try and compare fractions, we want those denominators the same. So this 1/4, we can actually write as 2/8. That means exactly the same thing. They are equivalent fractions. But now I've got my denominators the same. So that therefore means that I've got an 8 to Michelle, I've got 2/8, an 8 to Nina, 2/8 to Michelle, and so in total she's given away 3/8, which means that her leftovers is 5/8. If we say 5/8 plus 3/8, we get 8/8 or 1. So we know that this 5/8 represents those 25 sweets that she had left over. Now, this is where we need to actually understand what this fraction is saying to us. So remember, 8 represents the total number of sweets. That's what we're wanting to find. So if you want to use an X there, that's absolutely fine. Oh, golly, sorry. But we need to figure out an equivalent fraction that talks about 25 sweets in relation to the total number of sweets. Now, because we know that 5/8 represents the 25 sweets, these are equivalent fractions again. I say 5 times 5 to get to 25, which means I should say 8 times 5, and that gives me a total of 40 sweets that she started with. So we end up with exactly the same answer in both methods. It just really depends how you choose to do this. Now, again, grade 8s, this was by no means something that was super easy. Like, the point was a brain break. It made you think a little bit. But what was critical here was that you read the question carefully. That 1/6 of a remainder is where we sometimes get tripped up. So I'm going to leave that there in case you want to take a screenshot. Completely up to you. This is definitely the sort of question you would get in a test that is the more problem-solving sort of question. So if you just try and go step by step, even if you don't get the full thing and you just get part way, that's absolutely fine. Alrighty, again, I'm going to let you take a screenshot. I don't know how many of us were focused there, but let's see. And then we're going to go back to some algebra. Alrighty. Okay, we'll do that brain break another time. So let's have a look at our 4 questions here. So let us
My
start.
people, sorry.
So let's start with question A. I'm going to do question A with you, and then you're going to try some by yourselves. So question A, remember, what we want to do is we want to identify our terms. So there's a plus, there's a minus. I don't care about that plus inside the bracket. It's inside the bracket. Shame, don't care. So I've got term 1, the 12xy divided by 4. If you want to write it as a fraction, you're welcome to. You don't have to. We then have the 3x plus 2x as my second term. And then we have the minus xy as my third term. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write my first term as a fraction. For me, it's easier. You don't have to. What I want to know from you guys is, can I simplify this bracket? So is there something that I can do with 3x and 2x? You can pop it on the chat if you think there's something you can do with it. Velo, what can we do? What can we do with the 3x and the plus 2x? All right, Velo, tell me, what can we do with it?
Hi, ma'am. We can
Hi.
add them, ma'am.
Why can we add them? What are they?
Because they are the same variables.
Excellent. So guys, in that bracket, we actually have like terms. Now, you don't have to add them. There's nothing wrong with adding them later. But remember, the goal is to simplify our terms. So we can simplify the second term by adding these like terms together. So 3x plus 2x actually just gives me plus 5x. And then I've simplified my second term. And then I have my third term of minus xy. Excuse me. So the only thing I have left to do now is actually simplify that fraction. So if I start with the numbers, remember SNV, 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then I have my xy plus 5x minus xy. We look for our like terms. So in terms of what I have here, the xy and the xy's are like terms. So 3xy minus xy. And the 5x is a separate group of terms by itself. You want to write your like together, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to, but you can. And then we can add and subtract. So 3xy minus 1xy, remember there is a 1 there, is 2xy plus 5x. We cannot add 2xy and 5x because they are not like terms. I'm missing a y from the 5x. And so that is my final simplified answer. Excuse me. So what I want you guys to try is question B for me. Pop your answers on the chat, but give it a try. So think carefully about what you need to multiply or divide first before you start stressing about like terms. And guys, remember those 3 steps. Identify your terms, simplify each of your terms, and then only do we add and subtract our terms. And remember, put your answers on the chat so we can see how you're going. Any questions that you have, also pop them on the chat and we'll help you. Check your signs as you start to simplify. So I'm seeing some answers coming through. Just double check your signs. Make sure you are correctly adding and subtracting your answers, or your like terms rather. Okay, anyone feeling brave to raise their hand and explain how they did question B? Triple, do you want to explain this one for us?
Yes. So I got 8x plus 3y. So I said 5x. Wait, let me just check where I'm. Okay. So I said 5x times 2, which was 10x,
Good.
plus 2y times 2, which was 10x plus 4y,
Good.
minus 1y, minus 2x, which was 10x minus 2x, which was 8x, plus 4y minus 1y, which was 3y.
Perfect. Well done. Okay, guys, excellent. So we need to distribute, or we need to multiply the 2 into the bracket. As Triple said, 2 times 5x is 10x, 2 times 2y is 4y. Then we still have the minus y minus 2x. We collect our like terms, so the x terms and the y terms, and we add and subtract them. So those of you getting 12x, just be careful, it was minus 2x. Those of you getting 5y, just be careful, 2y times 2 is 4y, and then we're subtracting a y. All right, so I'll leave it there in case you want to take a screenshot. Cassie, your hand is up. Question? Okay. Right, so to end us off, I want you to try question C. Let's do question C. That will be our last one for the evening. Give question C a try. While you are giving it a try, if anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand and ask. Again, guys, sorry, I've just turned off my camera because issues. Kotatsu, question?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I don't understand how you got 8x plus 3y. Can you please explain to me?
Okay. So, do you understand the step where we, oh, golly, Miss Molly, so sorry. Oh, it's me and technology tonight. Sorry. Okay. Do you understand the step where I got the 10x plus 4y minus 1y minus 2x?
No.
All right. So, if we go to the beginning, what we want to do is we want to say 2 times 5x. Now, 2
Okay.
times 5x gives me 10x. So that's where this 10x comes from.
Yes.
And then 2 times 2y gives me 4y. So that's where the 4y came from.
Okay.
Right? Then I still had the minus y and the minus 2x. They hadn't gone anywhere. I just wasn't doing anything with them yet. Then I collect my like terms. So 10x and minus 2x are like terms,
Okay.
as well as 4y minus y. So if
okay.
I've got, all right, so 10x minus 2x gives me 8x, and 4y minus 1y gives me positive 3y.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Okay, so that was from my like terms. Good.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure. Muted myself, my bad. Right, 1 more minute, and then I'm gonna ask for some hands. We're looking at question C. Right, who wants to try question C for me? Hands up.
Woo, Calvin. Last question of the day.
Okay, Calvin,
Oh.
tell us.
Yes, ma'am. So what you say is you say you say 3 divide times 4, ma'am, which is 12. And then just add the 3 to the y. And then you say plus 2, and then you say 10y divided by 5, which is 2y. And so adding that up will be 19y, which is what I got.
Okay, sorry, you broke up a little bit there, but I think I followed everything. So guys, what we want to do is we want to multiply the 3 to the y, the 4y, and the 2. If, however, you saw that y plus 4y, you could simplify first, that's fine. Otherwise, we multiply. So 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 4y is 12y. And 3 times 2 is 6. So that's where these first 3 terms came from. Then we've got our division. So 10y divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then the y. So that's where the 2y came from. Now what we want to do is we want to add and subtract our like terms, which means we must identify our like terms. So 3y, 12y, and 2y are all like terms. And then my little constant of 6 is just by itself. So now I need to group my like terms together. 3y plus 12y plus 2y plus 6. 3y plus 12y is 15y, plus 2y is 17y, plus 6. I cannot add the 17y and the 6 because they are not like terms. And so that is our final answer there.